Hello guys and welcome back to Gregtech New Horizons. We've got a stacked episode for today, or at least I think so. There's going to be a lot to do, that is for sure. So much to get through today. So in the last episode we worked towards tier 7 rocket, and we're now 3 of 7 since we crafted our tier 3 rocket. And along with crafting the rocket we also invested in rocket fuel. Dense hydrazine I believe is what we crafted to fuel our new rocket here. And yeah, along with the dense hydrazine, we also picked up the next tier of spacesuit, thermal padding. So we are now ready to visit the tier 3 planets and yeah, do a bit of exploration in preparation for the next tier of rocket, as well as some new materials which we'll unlock by yeah, visiting some new planets. I believe it's Ceres, where is it here? Yeah, Ceres, Ross 128b, Europa, and the asteroid belts is what we have available to us now that we have this rocket. Additionally, in the last episode we also fully automated polybenzimidazole, a very important chemical as we enter LUV and above. In fact, it's on right now, it's still filling the buffer. The production of polybenzimidazole uses phthalic acid, something we've been handling and trying to automate for several different episodes. And these LCRs down at the hives here, which process the beacombs, also use phthalic acid. And ever since these things have been running, there's been a cost. Yeah, those machines plus our platinum line, in addition to all the machines we now have in the chemistry area, have really strained our power system. And so today I think it's time that we address it. I was going to delay the power upgrades for much later in progression, but I think today is the day. Greg and all his power hungry recipes have left us with not much choice, because running out of power would not be fun at all, so we're going to go all the way here and yeah, we're going to look at the next tier of power production facility to fuel the large gas turbines. Honestly, at this moment in the episode, I have no idea what it's going to look like, but I do know that we're going to invest in nitrobenzene. Nitrobenzene will give us 1.6 million EU per cell, compared to benzene's 360,000 for the equivalent amount, although these numbers here will change depending on which turbine we run it through. And yeah, again, I'm still undecided on which one we want to go for here. One thing I have decided on though is if we're going to do this, we're going to do it right. So there's going to be a lot of numbers and calculations to make sure we can produce enough nitrobenzene so that we don't run our battery dry and we don't run into a situation where we are bleeding power or bleeding nitrobenzene. Lots and lots of times I come over here and this is like close to being empty, which is not ideal. And that's not even with the whole base running either. So yeah, honestly this is not too long after filming the last episode, and we done a lot of chemistry last episode, so in that case I'm going to take a break from all the chemistry and the numbers, because I have a feeling I'm going to be doing a lot of number calculations later on to try to make sure we have a robust power system. So to begin the episode here, we're going to take some of our dense hydrazine, the fuel for the rocket. That is also a quest. And yeah, we're going to fire this bad boy up and go on a little adventure here to begin with. I just got back from the overworld to collect the miner, and yeah, so we should have all three, yeah, we have all 3 miners here ready to go, ready to place on the new tier of planets. So apparently it's possible now to launch the rocket from the personal dimension, but I love this rocket silo so much, so there's no need to abandon it just yet. And I think I might even, I mean, assuming it does work from the personal dimension, I might actually copy this over, because I just love this design so much, so I might copy it over and build this in our new base. I'm not so sure yet. But yeah, I think we have everything we need here. This is going to be a very similar situation to the Mars trip the first time around. We are going to have to fuel the rocket. I did also recharge our heavy oxygen tanks, which we crafted last episode. So we have much more time before we have to recharge, although we do have the Spectre key, and we have oxygen recharge in that dimension, so we shouldn't have anything to worry about as long as we monitor the oxygen levels. But yeah, let's go ahead and fuel the rocket. So we have our energy cell, some dense hydrazine. Wait, tier 2 holds what, 7,500 fuel? And this holds how much? Oh, the same, 7,500. I wonder if it is... Huh, I was under the impression it does burn more fuel. I guess, well, I don't know. I don't know how the fuel burn is calculated, to be honest with you, but we have more than enough dense hydrazine to last us for ages and ages. Probably for the rest of the pack, since, yeah, remember, once we get tier 6 rocket, we need a different fuel, a more dense fuel source. Alright, anyways, rocket is fueled. Here we go, the first trip in tier 3. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, this is significantly faster than tier 2 as well, yeah, that's right. So much more fire in the on the fuel burn as well. Wow, okay, we're in orbit already. So I was having a look at where we want to go, and actually we want to go to Ganymede. I don't remember where that is though, and it's not listed here, so I think it's a moon of something. Is it the moon of Ceres? No. No, Venus is tier 4, Mercury is tier 4, Mars is tier 2, that's Phobos and Deimos, we've been there before. Yeah, I don't remember where this is. Is it in one of the outer solar systems here? I can't imagine we can get this with the tier 3 rocket, although maybe. What is this? T-Ceti C? It's not that. Yeah, it's not this. We can't reach that planet yet. Okay, there's Ross 128b. No, there's Ross 128b, which is like an overworld equivalent almost, and we can reach this. This is a tier 3 planet, Ross 128 system, and we can reach there, but we're looking for Ganymede. Is it near Jupiter? Oh yeah, it could be here. Yeah, here is Europa, which is tier 3. Callisto is tier 3. We want to also visit this planet, but we're gonna go to Ganymede first of all. Please tell me we don't suffocate. Okay, we're not taking damage, which is good. We did put our new spacesuit on, and we're gonna get a good bounce here. Ah, that was actually a good bounce. That was a good bounce. Let's relog. That should fix the sound, right? Yeah, there we go. We have sounds again. Yeah, so nothing special, I don't think, about this planet. There's nothing necessarily unique about this place, other than the ores that we can find here. So if we take our prospector scanner, we should be able to start prospecting the ore veins, and yeah, iron, diamond, tetrahedrite, iron, bauxite. None of this is unique just yet. However, plutonium is unique, I think. Well, at least unique for us at this point. We've not come across any plutonium veins, so I would quite like to get a plutonium vein next to a palladium vein. Yeah, as you can see, this gives us palladium, platinum, sheldonite, and chrome. Very, very useful resource for us, or ore vein for us at this point. And according to NEI, we can also find a galena vein here. So ideally, we can get a galena vein next to a palladium, next to a plutonium, maybe even next to a bauxite or a diamond as well. Since remember, our multi-block ore drills can mine in a very large radius. Oh yeah, there's the galena vein. We just need to find them next to each other. I mean, we do have multiple ore drills, but I think the other ones we're going to place on the other planets, since there is some unique ores there, which we can't find here. Yeah, there's 2 galena veins, plutonium, bauxite. Maybe we have to settle here, but I'm going to keep going a little bit. We don't have too much durability left on this. And that is a big ore node. That is a big, big ore node. The good thing is our oxygen seems to be holding up very, very well here. You can see in the top left there the oxygen levels, and we haven't had to... Who's going to win? 2 skeletons duke it out. I think this guy's going to lose. He's been hit 4 times, or 3 times. Oh, he's given up. Yeah, he's given up. He's after me now. And a random torch. Is there life on Ganymede? Is that where we are? Yeah, that's where we are. Is there life going on Ganymede? I wonder if those villages spawn here as well. I'm not actually too sure about that. Should have crafted another prospector scanner as well. We only have like 1 scan left, maybe? Yep, it's dead. It's gone. It's gone. Do we have a spare one here? Oh, we do. But this is only 3x3. And the other one was 5x5, so yeah, we definitely have to get a new prospector scanner. So after enough searching around, I did eventually pick a spot for the multi-block miner. Once the miners had been placed, I then used the rocket to travel to the next destination, Callisto. And while on Callisto, I placed the remaining 2 multi-block miners, then returned back to base to start to plan our new power system. Okay, let's just look on the positive side here. I do have a plan now. That was a bit close. I do have a plan moving forward. It took a while to develop. We're now a couple of hours later. And yeah, the miners have been running on the other planets for, well, some time. And we have more than a couple of issues developed in this world. And, well, it wouldn't be Gregtech if we don't have bottlenecks, right? Check this out. I mean, we are completely backed up on resources here. I have it going into some chests just to make sure that the miners don't stop. I mean, at least if it's here, we can move the miners later on. But yeah, we're building up resources. We're going to completely ignore this issue right now and just let the machines do what they can. Yeah, we need to upgrade our processing, but we can only do so much at once. So that is the first problem. The second problem is that we're running low on benzene. This thing has been fluctuating between about 1 million and 3 million for the past couple hours, and it's definitely dropping. So yeah, that's really what I mean when I say we have a power problem. It's not so much the fact that we can't generate enough. We generate about 120,000 maximum, which is more than we consume at peak times when all the base is running. However, the turbines running over a sustained period of time means that we will eventually run out of benzene. And in fact, you'll notice that the turbines are not even running at the moment, and we're still dropping on benzene. And I think that's because of the polybenzimidazole. So many of you guys corrected my pronunciation. Apparently, it's polybenzimidazole, not polybenzimidazole. So fair enough. I think that is actually correct. So I'm gonna say, or try to remember to say polybenzimidazole from now on. But yeah, as part of this process, you might remember that we have to make chlorobenzene, which is benzene plus chlorine. And benzene, of course, is used in the turbine. So we're going to turn this machine off for now. Let's just mark this so we remember. But as for polybenzimidazole, we have close to 1 million buffered here, which is way more than we'll use in the foreseeable future. So we don't need to keep it running at the moment. So next on our list of issues here, we are running out of logs as well. And that is a big problem because logs are used in the production of benzene. Oh no, it's even worse now, 120k. We were capped on this at like 4 million for the longest time. The way that we generate logs is with a Ender.io farming station, and we have done for the longest time in the overworld. However, the thing about the farming station is the logs will only grow if a player is in the area. And since we spend most of our time here in the void dimension, yeah, the majority of the time the farm is not running, and therefore we're just running and relying on a backlog that we had. So for the moment, it's not going to stay here all episode, it's only going to be a temporary solution. I've moved the farming station here into our new base. It's right next to the one that farms peanuts. Like I said, that's not going to stay here, this will be taken down for the end of the video. It's just that I spend the majority of the time here in this dimension, so I want the trees to keep growing and making us logs. It happens at a fairly quick rate though, with these tall spruce trees 2x2. However, I'm working on a solution. So a number of hours ago, I set up Breeks again, the crop bot. All of you guys who have watched the channel for a while will know the origin story of Breeks, but essentially he is our companion through many different worlds. And in this world, he takes the form of a crop bot, or an open computers bot who will automatically farm crops for us. And what he's working on right now is getting some spruce bonsais, which is, yeah, effectively like the equivalent of planting the 2x2 spruce trees, with minus the lag, because every time these update, GTNH has to calculate the lighting, and here in 1.7, that isn't as efficient as in the modern versions, so if at all possible, we want to move away from the farming station. Not least because it's much slower than doing the bonsais at max stats. Yeah, I'm not going to get into the stats right now. I have a whole couple of episodes on the crops. But essentially we want these at high stats. We want them at 21-31-0. Which some of these are. That's what Breeks is working on getting us right now. He's going to do it automatically. So yeah, this saves us a lot of time. And yeah, thank you Breeks for your service. The issue though is now... thanks for another egg. The issue now though is... The issue now... Oh, nice, and we even got a quest for that. The issue now, though, is I don't want to start adding more crops here, because this is not the place for the crops. So the crops has actually been here since before we even built all of this Void World base, as I'm sure you're aware. And now that all of this extra infrastructure is here, it doesn't really belong here. Yeah, so I think that today is the day I want to move the crops. But moving crops is not a simple matter, because if you're unaware, maybe we can just experiment on one of these things here. This has 3 resistance, so we don't necessarily want to use this. But there is a chance if you break this, yeah, it happened on that time, we don't get the seed back. And well, it's not so easy to get seeds because of their stats. You have to like crossbreed to get specific stats that you want. So it's not just a matter of building a simple farm. And the other issue compounded on top of that is where on earth do we place a farm? Like, I started to replicate our witchery area on the other side, and I mentioned that this was going to be used for Thumbcraft, and then I was thinking, like, maybe we should put crops up here, but is this going to be enough space? And, like, what happens if we don't have enough space here? Because it's not like we can stack the crops. Lots of the crops need access to the sky, and also 5 blocks below the crop as well. For example, Blackstone Lily needs black granite below it to produce black granite dust, which is, of course, how we get fluorine. So bear with me here, I am going somewhere with this. And I do also have a plan laid out, as you can see down here, for the benzene system, which we'll get to. But yeah, is this really a suitable location for crops? This has also got me thinking a lot more long term about systems which we're yet to build, and how we're going to plan out our base. Since I've decided, or rather realised, that putting our nitrobenzene setup here, quite close to the battery, we're just yeah, right on the south side of the base, isn't really viable. So nitrobenzene, as you know, is an extension onto regular benzene. And the regular benzene system we have down here. So currently there is, what, 12 distillation towers, a centrifuge, a processing array, and 2 industrial coke ovens. And the issue with all these machines, maybe we can see it here, yeah, you can see the distillation towers especially, is that they do blink a lot. And that causes a lot of FPS lag. It's maybe not noticeable on camera, but it's definitely noticeable for me. And it was kind of nice having it in the overworld, but I mean, we want to move away from the overworld since power is going to be an issue. We're eventually going to centralize all of our power here. And I also want to get rid of the quantum link chamber and also reduce the amount of chunks that we have to load. Yeah, quantum link is right above the controller. Just generally make things more streamlined overall. But yeah, having all those distillation towers so close to the central part of the base is a no-no. At least for me, so yeah. I'm in a bit of a dilemma here. I don't actually know what to do here. I'm kind of stuck, and I don't want to just rush into placing stuff. We also want to make this expandable as well. And at the beginning of this episode, I did say this was going to be done properly, so it doesn't matter how long it takes, it will be done. So to make nitrobenzene, obviously it does take benzene, so we need to set up our benzene system. I'm going to more or less copy that over here, but then we also have to make distilled water, nitric acid, and sulfuric acid. All 3 of those products we already make, distilled water in this distillation tower, sulfuric acid in these 2 LCRs, and nitric acid in this LCR, and also in this LCR in the plat line. However, doing this properly and in a robust manner means that I want to have separated processes to make nitrobenzene. So I want to do it all fresh here. We're going to have everything on site all separated out so that we make enough and we'll make correct ratios to produce a stable amount of nitrobenzene to fuel the whole base as we expand. So I'll do a breakdown calculation after it's built, but essentially we are going to replicate the nitric acid production, ammonia production for nitric acid, sulfuric acid. We're going to have distillation towers for distilled water. We're going to have our industrial coke ovens. We're going to have our centrifuge for nitrogen, processing array for fluid extraction, and in fact I might even craft a separate centrifuge for nitrogen. One we'll keep here, and the second one we'll place in the processing factory somewhere on one of these sides to give us nitrogen for the rest of the base, so that we can keep the nitrogen separated out for the fuel system again. We still need 4 distillation towers, 5 large chemical reactors, a centrifuge for the nitrogen, and I believe that's all actually. The rest we have here we can just transfer over. But the biggest challenge of all is finding a suitable location for all this stuff, the crops and the fuel system. Something that is expandable and isn't going to get in the way of any future systems. So while pondering a location for the fuel and crops, I worked on obtaining a better method to move the crops. Since the seed drop is not guaranteed, breaking them isn't really an option, as that would add way too much time onto this project in trying to replace the lost seeds. Instead, Thaumcraft has a dislocation 1 focus, which at the cost of some V will allow us to essentially teleport the crop to a different location, keeping the seed intact and allowing us to move everything. I knew this was going to be a pain to use, as we still lack a way to recharge the wand efficiently. And yes, I know we'll do Thaumcraft soon, but again, more rabbit holes. We have to stay focused to fix Benzene. Somewhat hesitant to commit though, I did eventually pick a location for the crops. And so yeah, very slowly, but I'm still hoping faster than breaking and replacing the seeds. I did eventually transfer everything over and we got a new space for the farms. And this actually took a substantial amount of time, but doesn't everything in GTNH? That's kind of the game right now, so yeah. I'm glad I got it done though. That's, yeah, an extremely tedious project, but it has to be done. We are doing this properly. Because I am such a genius, I decided to split up the farms into different platforms, which looks cool, but also comes with the side effect of having to provide a source of power to each one. And since we're doing this right, I spent hours just crafting another Master Magic Energy Absorber. I mean, you can see the recipe here for yourself, it's just pure pain. Pure pain. Oh, Gregtech. So for now we have 2, but I'm hoping we get 1 for each platform eventually. But this is the last one I'm crafting manually. We're going to have to set up Thaumcraft automation soon. But yeah, this with a creeper egg on top, which I had to go and get from Mars, will provide us with just unlimited passive power to fuel the crop managers to harvest the crops passively. Yeah, I said we wanted to avoid rabbit holes, and this was one of the biggest, but we fell in. On the bright side though, that extra ender chest that was crafted by mistake recently, we can put that to use. So currently I'm trying to work on getting the dislocation focus to move all the crops. That is still yet to be crafted as of this very moment. I've got all the ingredients here ready to go in the craft for the runic matrix, including the essentia besides 1. And the one we're missing is Vitium. The only way we know of to get Vitium right now is to use the cloak, and I ain't about to craft a bunch of these things to melt them down to get, what is it, like 16 of this? 16 Vitium. Instead, I just crafted a bunch of TNT and then run that through the alchemical construct with a few more essentia, or V, or essentia, or I don't even know at this point, to get alchemite. I don't know how much of this we actually need, but we're short some vitreous. So apparently if we take this alchemite to a tainted lands biome, which we're going to try to find here, I don't think we've found a tainted lands biome, so we can use a nature's compass. Yeah, so with the nature's compass we can select a biome, in this case tainted land, which is the biome added by Thaumcraft. Apparently we can teleport here, but I'm not going to do that because I do consider that cheating. I don't use any form of /home or like the FTB utilities teleports. I only use the endgame methods, basically the Stargate. But yeah, we're going to go to the Tainted Lands, and this should allow us to get Vitium with the Alchemite block, which is essentially like a magical TNT, if I understand correctly. So we're 2,000 blocks away, actually not that far, but we haven't... Yeah, I don't know of this biome yet, so it looks like we haven't generated it. Oh, another village. Is there a beekeeper here? I mean, not that we really need the beekeepers anymore. They might be useful though. I don't know. Is this a beekeeper? Nah, this is just a butcher. Okay, a couple hundred blocks. We should be coming up on this any second now. It's been forever since I've seen one of these biomes, and if I remember correctly, this is the one that spreads, right? Like, if you have this loaded long enough, it will turn the whole biome into taint. Basically make it all purple. However, I'm told that we can use Alchemite here and the Flint and Steel. Oh, and there's some Thaumcraft bosses there. Yeah, we can use Alchemite here and blow these up, and this should give us Vitium, I think. Let's find out. Oh, we're getting something. Yes, Vitium! And this we can melt down, right? No? Or maybe? I assume we can melt this down. Yeah, I assume that's what we want. Oh, that's a tainted node as well. I wonder what that does. I've never seen one of those before. Might as well scan all this stuff as well. It might be... We might need it. But it's definitely useful to know where all this stuff is. The tainted biome. Let's get a few more explosions. Hey, creeper. He's the one that gives you concussion, right? Yeah, he teleports you. He doesn't actually do any damage. Oh, we're getting loads from this. This is going to be plenty. I was afraid that 4 pieces or 5 pieces of Alchemite wasn't going to be enough. But we're going to have loads and loads of this stuff. We only need 16 for the craft. And just for future reference, I guess we'll add a waypoint here as well, so we can return. Alright, anyways, as you've probably seen, I've got an insane amount of work ahead of me, so I best get going. Yeah, I'll pass you back over to 3 from the future, and he'll tell you how the benzene system went and all the crops. Oh, man, this is going to take me forever. Yeah, 3 in the future here is tired, very tired. That took forever. I don't know, I forgot to check the playtime before I started, but we're now on 1468. I have no idea what I started this episode on, but yeah, I've racked up so many hours in this world. I was next to Breeks though, so I did have a little bit of company. But anyways, for Nitrobenzene, it's not quite finished. I just started to think about this a couple hours ago again. I've been doing crops for the majority of the time, to be honest, but I'm glad that project is now done. I'll show you that later on. So yeah, for Nitrobenzene, I decided to go south, out a number of chunks. Just inside of render distance actually from the blast furnaces. So previously I did have it all wired in. Can we just take a moment to appreciate this wiring? Unfortunately, all of that had to get removed, and yeah, we got it rewired here at the new section for Nitrobenzene. And yeah, I haven't colored the cable yet, but I think it's actually an improvement. Not to blow my own trumpet too much, but I'm actually quite proud of this wiring. I actually quite like the way it turned out. It's all nice and neat. This is EV, the big cable. This one is IV, and the middle one is LUV, the main power spine, which travels all the way back to the battery. I think we might end up running into some power problems, because this is going to take a lot of amperage. We're designing for the future here, so we're going to be pulling a lot of amps here. There's a lot of IV machines, and well, tons and tons of EV machines. Every single cable that you can see here exposed will plug into an energy hatch, and each one of those is 2 amps of EV maximum. Approximately 2 amps of EV. And right now, if you'll remember, our supercapacitor is only capable of outputting... oh yeah, I had a bit of water spillage here, which almost wiped away the redstone, but no, we're good. But yeah, our Lapitronic supercapacitor, which is the main battery buffer in our base, is only capable of outputting 4 amps of LUV, and we have a lot of transformers, which are transforming from LUV. So we're going to have to upgrade this probably next episode though when we look at a turbine. So right now we're using the large gas turbines, these ones here. We have I think 15 here in the void base and 5 in the overworld. But we're going to switch to the XL gas turbine, which is like lots and lots of the large ones in one. And it gives you a massive efficiency boost and power output boost. So yeah, we can't actually use benzene since it's blacklisted in the XL, which is one of the reasons that we're switching to nitrobenzene. But we will look at the turbine next episode. For now, I think things are going to get a bit exciting because I realised that we're going to be racing against the clock here to move our benzene system over. Like, we only have so much buffer of benzene, and so I did make sure to add a few more super tanks here which are full. But we have to basically construct this system before our battery runs out and before we run out of benzene. I think we will have quite a bit of time to do it, but still we are against the clock here. So I did turn off this large chemical reactor, the LUV one. This thing is one of the biggest consumers of power in the base, so that is off for now. And also the platinum line is off, since I think we still have power problems there. Just because this is the furthest away from the battery, this ammonium chloride keeps turning itself off. And I just think it's not getting enough power, which is... yeah, I switched out another one of these with a high amp transformer down here. So we now have 2 high amp IV transformers in the plat line. But I just think it's, it's just too far away from the battery. It's not getting enough power to stay running. So there's 12 distillation towers. We're going to bump that up to 16 for wood tar. So we need an input and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 outputs. So that's 6 channels for every 2 distillation towers, right, since they wall share. And they'll stay in the same configuration in a 5x5. So they're back to back right now. They're going to stay this way. So it's 6 channels times 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is 48 channels. 48 channels for this, plus 1, 2 channels for the coke oven. Maybe plus a storage bus, so that's 3 channels. So that's 51 channels. How many for the centrifuge here? I think it's just another 2. So that's 54 channels. 55 for the storage bus here. 56 for the input. 57 for the output. We'll call it 64 channels, so that's 2 P2Ps, but that doesn't count the extra machines we have here for the additional steps for nitrobenzene, i.e. the large chemical reactors and the extra... wait, yeah, all of this is large chemical reactors, and then also the chemical plant, which I don't know if I pointed out or not. But yes, nitrobenzene is made in the chemical plant, so we're going to be recycling the one that we built last episode. And you'll see here that there is also a large chemical reaction recipe, but it's way more efficient if you use the chemical plant, since this can give you parallel processing. The tier of the coils influence the speed, so we're at tier 5 coils right now, so we have a 300% speed increase from the base recipe. And the casings influence the amount of parallel recipes it can run. Yeah, so we're at HSS coils and LUV machine casings, so I think we get 8 recipes in parallel. Therefore, it's much more valuable to use this thing than the LCR. And the recipe here in the chemical plant starts at HV, whereas in the large chemical reactor, it starts at IV. So yeah, we are going to use this machine here. As you can see, I did test it out just to test the speed and just to make sure the recipe actually works. We don't need any of this, though. We're going to take this down. I think I just tossed something in the AE system there because the inventory was full, and I have no idea what we're going to be missing to rebuild this thing. But either way, we're going to be missing an energy hatch since this was at EV, but we have to run the new one at IV just to allow for enough power to enter the machine so that we can get those parallel processing going. Otherwise, I don't think it's going to have enough power to do 8 parallel at EV. So our chemical plant is going to go right here. A little something like this, but again, we are missing the energy hatch. It will be IV. We still have to craft those, and we're also going to be having to craft an extra, well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 energy hatches. I might just craft an extra 8 just to batch craft them, because we will need them for other machines down the line. We're also missing input and output for this, but we want to make sure we can make regular benzene before we jump to nitrobenzene. So I want to get the regular system in place first. But yeah, this is where things get a bit hairy-mairy. I love that saying. But yeah, we have to make sure that we don't run out of power or benzene. What am I looking for? Compressed chest? Of course we can't craft it. I really should add the recipe for this, but we're missing assembler slots. Like, yeah, assembler pattern slots for this. Oh yeah, and it seems that we are slowly still dropping on spruce logs. This was at 1.2 million, and it's now at 1.1, and that was only about an hour and a half ago. But I guess I'll show you the update here to the farms. I'm going to call this the Rings of Flower. It kind of, oh, the map is broken again since I relogged. Yeah, may I present the Rings of Flower. So obviously, well, actually we ran out of dirt, so I can't fill in the rest of it, and obviously we don't have enough seeds or a means to power the crop managers. But yeah, it's more or less just exactly what we had on the top of the old system over there. The peanut farm still remains, but that will eventually be removed since we're making peanuts from the bees. So all we need is actually a fluid extractor, but we still use the one underneath the farm, so I didn't want to remove that just yet. That will be eventually removed though. But yeah, we've given Breeks a new home on one of the Rings of Flower. So he now lives right here, and he will crossbreed any future crops which we might want to pick up. This one here is doing the salty root and the spruce bonsais. I want to get at least half of this filled with spruce bonsais, but I turned Breeks off right now since there is a risk of weeds growing if you don't check up on this thing every now and then. And I don't want to be distracted while we're under time pressure trying to build the benzene system. So I turned Breeks off for the moment just to avoid any weeds. But I will fill in the rest of this with spruce bonsais just to make up the production speed that we need, since yeah, I guess we are still dropping on spruce logs a little bit. Oh yeah, and as promised, I did remove the wood farm. This is the same spot we were in before. Breeks used to sit right here, and yeah, no more Endario farming station, no more lag either. And then for now, we only have one more Ring of Flower, and that is this one here, which handles like the black granite, the sugar beets. I want to add another 2 patches for sugar beets, since this gives us oxygen. Sugar beets extract for 8 sugar, and then sugar can be electrolyzed? Yeah, electrolyzed into carbon, water, and oxygen gas. And our need for oxygen is only going to increase, so I think I want to add two more fields just to balance it out as well. And then we have red granite, we have yellow stone lily, which gives us endstone dust, which gives us things like tungstate, sand, and helium we get from that. Remember, all this processing is still in the overworld. We need to find a space for it in the new base, but it doesn't necessarily need to be next to the crops. I always had in my head that I was going to have processing next to the crops similar to bees when we moved them, but that doesn't necessarily need to be the case as long as we have things going into the applied energistic system. So we can have crop processing probably down where the chemical plant used to be. But yeah, for now, this is how we're looking on the map. I think I would have probably liked to have this a bit further north, maybe an extra chunk before we place this, and move the bees up an extra chunk as well, but I mean, it's nice and cozy this way. It's not too bad. I just want to avoid making that mistake going south here, so I made sure to leave plenty of space between the benzene system and the main base. Although, actually, I have no doubt that we're going to backfill all this, so eventually there will be stuff in between the benzene and this space here. Oh yeah, one more thing, I have to show you guys this. So, I found this out a bit too late, but, I mean, check this out. So, you know how the way that we recharge the wand right now? We used to just farm a bunch of these primal shrooms, and they take forever to grow. You can use the watering can to speed it up. So yeah, you can kind of see the speed that it takes to fully grow the primal shroom. It's not too bad, but then you break it, and it drops like almost experience, but it's V for the wand, and you can recharge. But I found that if you place a block gate, this is honestly so good. You guys need to know about this. If you're doing Thaumcraft at all, and you need to recharge your wand, absolutely, this is the method you should go for until you get a node. So yeah, all you have to do is place the primal shroom on any block, and then next to that have a Steve's Factory Manager block gate. It's not going to work straight away. I think what you have to do actually is hopper an extra primal shroom into the block gate, so it gives it into the inventory. You can see in the holo glasses there that we do have an extra primal shroom in there. And then, yeah, anytime you look at this, I'm not doing anything. Like, I'm not touching any keybinds. You just have to look at it, and it will drop all the experience. And this will be absorbed by the wand. Right now it's full. But if we take out one which has some capacity, yeah, you can see here on the bottom left, all the different aspects of the wand are being recharged. And this is just infinite. So it still took some time to recharge and move all the crops with the dislocation focus, but this saved me so much time otherwise. You guys absolutely need to know about this, so I wanted to include this in the episode here. But yeah, I found this on Discord. I don't remember where I found this, so I can't really give credit, but there's It's not a new strategy, basically, but I'm just late in learning about it. But I want to pass on the message here to you guys. You guys are going to save so much time doing this. But yeah, it's just a block gate and a primal shroom. Not a V shroom. It's not the... Yeah, it's not the V shroom. This is the one that you craft into the primal shroom in the Crucible. It has to be this primal shroom. The V shrooms, by the way, you can buy from the quest book somewhere. Down here. You can pay some Dark Wizard coins and you get 5 V shrooms and then craft those into the primal shrooms, and you only need 2 for this setup to work. And theoretically, you can have as many of these as you want throughout the world, so you can like stack these. But I think you do have to be looking at it, so... I mean, 1 is plenty fast enough. Anyways, I've had enough crops for now. Let's build this benzene system. No explosions? Yes, yes, no explosions. Alright everyone, so phase 1 is coming along nicely here. This is the easy part though. Fortunately at this point we're no longer under time pressure. I can just take my time and finish the rest of this build, which I will do. I just wanted to give you guys a quick update here though, as we're now making benzene again. To recap, at this point, before it gets more complex with nitrobenzene, we're still not making nitrobenzene just yet, just regular benzene. I know that sometimes with all the machines, it can get a little bit complex for you guys, especially if you're not playing the pack, and I don't always do the best job of explaining things. So from beginning to end, to make benzene, we farm logs as spruce bonsais now in the crop managers. Those are sent to an ender chest. Ingested into our ME system right here, you can see all the crops enter in the system every few seconds as they get harvested. Then, because of the sticky cards, we have those going into main item storage here in the super chests with void overflow. So we have logs and we have saplings being voided. Not voided, stored. The excess is voided. Then over here we have a centrifuge which has some air intake hatches on. And whenever you centrifuge air, this recipe here, 10 buckets of air, gives us oxygen and nitrogen. And those are... I switched out all of the output hatches with ME output hatches. And remember, these things will cache fluids. So actually we can have essentially an infinite amount of nitrogen storage. We do have main fluid storage for nitrogen, but we're caching 1.5 million. And this is just going to keep running so long as we give it power, because the air in the back here is free, so it doesn't cost us anything to make nitrogen. And it may not even be necessary to make another centrifuge, although I still think I will, and put it elsewhere, as I mentioned earlier on. Then the nitrogen is combined in the coke ovens here, along with the logs, which are stocked in the input bus. And that is running the circuit 10 recipe right here. Nitrogen plus logs gives us charcoal and wood tar. And again, we have ME output buses and hatches, so we can infinitely cache the items and fluids, and we can just keep this process running, because if we think about it, at this point, all it costs us is logs and power, so we can infinitely cache the wood tar. But still, I have given wood tar here a space in main fluid storage. And all that wood tar is then requested in the distillation towers here via this export bus, which supplies it into the input hatch. And that is shared between this distillation tower and this distillation tower, running circuit number 1. And the circuit 1 recipe gives us creosote oil, phenol, benzene, toluene, and 1,2-dimethylbenzene. All of those are stored in main fluid storage, so they go to a dual interface. However, for the benzene one, I made sure to switch it out for the output hatch, so we can just keep this process running and cache benzene, even if our main fluid buffer is full. Because again, all that it costs us is wood tar, and wood tar only costs us logs and power. So yeah, we're essentially just going to keep this process running and just infinitely cache the benzene in these hatches. And that should be the same situation here for all the distillation towers. I'm missing a couple of dual interfaces. Things just take so long to craft. That's like the main bottleneck, and I have a lot of crafting left to do, because we still have to add 8 distillation towers. 4 of them are going to be for distilled water, and then also 4, 5, 6, 7 LCRs. The only thing about caching the fluid is it's going to be a bit more tricky to tell if we're running low on logs, because obviously the machine is just going to keep consuming it to run the recipe so long as it's switched on. We are still slowly dropping, although we're definitely making more in the farms up there in the rings of flour than we did in the Ender IO farming station. Anyways though, the final machine in the stack here is for a fluid extractor. We're going to need another output bus. I've crafted so many of these things already. But again, crafting is just our main bottleneck. I really wish we could have gotten to the auto crafting setup, but this takes priority. The power system absolutely takes priority. So yeah, we just have to suffer through slow auto crafting for now. But this thing is going to be fluid extracting charcoal into ashes and more wood tar, which is the input for the distillation tower. So we have a stocking bus here. It's the advanced one, the cheaty one. This is going to store stock the charcoal, which is being produced here. The ashes are going to be sent in the output bus and then sent back to a super chest. And the wood tar should come out of the output hatch, again be infinitely cached, and then sent to the distillation towers when available. Let's do the maintenance on this thing, and for now we only have 1 advanced fluid extractor, but if the calculations are correct, and I'll go over those later on, but if the calculations are correct, then we need 57 MV fluid extractors to keep up with the amount of charcoal that we get. But it's not really a priority right now. I would rather get the nitrobenzene set up, and then we'll craft the rest of the fluid extractors here to parallelize this craft. But yeah, essentially this is just an extra recycling step, so we can get a bit more wood tar out of this setup, and use up some of the charcoal, because we've been voiding charcoal for quite a long time by now. Anyways, the old system is now gone, and we can unload all the chunks here, although we do still have applied energistics connections. And so I think I'm going to have to remove all the cabling before I do that. There's still some P2P tunnels which have some connections. We can also reclaim all of our transformers and stuff, which is still kind of expensive for us at this point. All the cabling as well, we can reclaim all this stuff. And there is some super tanks here of creosote oil. I think I'm just going to void this, honestly. Yeah, I'm just going to void it. And we might also want to think about investing in ME output hatches for all the rest of the fluids coming out of the distillation tower, but that is very expensive for all those output hatches at this point. Anyways, with phase 1 complete, let's see how long the next phase takes, which is to extend this on and make nitrobenzene. Again, this one was the easy part though, since we had all the machines, most of the hatches and buses crafted. But for phase 2, nothing is crafted, so I'm going to be relying on our auto-crafting network and some good old-fashioned patience, which I've developed a lot of playing this pack. Oh yes, you guys see that number on the right there? That is exactly what we're looking for. We now have 7.7 million nitrobenzene, with 15 million still buffered of benzene, plus presumably some still in the hatches as well. Which means we have now completed our objective this episode. We have nitrobenzene automated. So I switched off the chemical plant now, just because I don't want to run through all of the benzene, since we still burn benzene in these gas turbines. We can of course switch to nitrobenzene, but we'll look at doing that next episode, and there's a hole there for some reason. We'll look at doing that next episode, but potentially we want to switch straight to the XL gas turbine. Although we have these here, we might as well use them, right? On the other hand though, do we need to use these ones to craft the XL? I think it's with completely different components. Well, we need the machine controller, and for that we do need an extra large gas turbine, but these things here, I'm pretty sure are extra or different. Yeah, it's rotor assemblies, which is not the same thing, and this is a very nested craft. I'm I'm not looking forward to this because we are completely broke after crafting all the stuff that we need for this thing. So yeah, as you can see, I added the extra machines, not without a few miscalculations though, but I'm glad I caught them before the end of the episode so I can let you guys know. I also went ahead and put together a little cheat sheet for Nitrobenzene, which you should be seeing right now. I want to thank Eden and Metis for helping me with the calculations. So all the numbers here you can see should be correct and should give you a stable amount of nitrobenzene to keep up with the 8 parallel for the chemical plant that we have here. I've included the number of machines and then yeah, the type of machine, the circuit number, the energy tier, the inputs, and then on the right hand side is the outputs. And you can see there I've got 13 distillation towers listed for wood tar, but in game here we have 20 built, and I don't know what I was thinking, to be honest. I just had the layout, and then once I got started on this, I just followed the layout that I had and didn't really think about it until afterwards when I was reviewing the numbers and putting together the little infographic there. I was like, wait a minute, that's way more than 13 distillation towers. I was going to add 16 to keep them like 4 sets of 4x4. So we'd have a few extra, but yeah, this whole block here is not needed. So we have like 4 spare, which I may or may not remove. It's going to remove the symmetry, but I don't know. We might recycle them if we need to. If we need distillation towers elsewhere, which I suspect we will, and for some other processes later on. But everything else here should be good. I still haven't crafted the fluid extractors in here. We're still only running one. But I did add another air intake hatch onto the centrifuge, since I noticed there was a tiny amount of downtime on this thing, but now it just runs like 100% uptime. I did also notice earlier on that we were blinking out on nitrogen, so although maybe with those air intake hatches it did fix the problem, but this nitrogen gas ended up at 0, so I think, yeah, that basically confirms that we will add an extra centrifuge for nitrogen elsewhere in the base, because nitrogen is used in other processes. Oh yeah, and I guess that doesn't account for the fact that nitrogen is used in ammonia production, of which we have 5 LCRs at IV making ammonia. That's feeding into nitric acid mixed with oxygen to make nitric acid. And then sulfuric acid is sulfur, water, and oxygen gas. And it all more or less works the way you would expect, the same way we have all the other LCRs filtered. And we're just pulling from the main AE system. I was going to do a subnet here, but instead of a subnet, I've decided to keep it all on mainnet. So everything is just connected back to the main controller via some P2Ps there. But the outputs are still separated out with the use of P2P tunnels, and these are fluid P2P. So we're just sending it from A to B, we're sending it from the machine into the chemical plant. And you can see here I've named the fluid P2P. These are not the same ones as the channels. This only handles fluids. So yeah, we have it labeled as nitrobenzene, nitric acid, and it's closed. Just to remind us not to connect anything else to this frequency, this 36A frequency. So this just goes straight from here to the intake of the... Wait, did I not? No, I did link them. Yeah, it goes straight into the input hatch here for nitric acid. And then we have the same thing here for distilled water, which comes out of these distillation towers, which is just distilling water from the reservoir hatch and giving us distilled water. The second input for nitrobenzene. The third one is regular benzene, which we pull from the main fluid storage with a fluid export bus. And then, yeah, fourth and final is sulfuric acid, which again is pulled from a closed P2P tunnel for sulfuric acid coming from the very last machine right here. An additional thing you want to watch out for here is you need to make sure your inputs are big enough for 8 parallel recipes. So you want to have space for at least 80 buckets of distilled water for it to run 8 recipes at once, and it should give you 40 buckets, since it's 5 output for 1 times 8 recipes should be 40 buckets output. So yeah, I have it turned off right now since I don't want it to run all of the benzene. We still need to run that through the turbines for power at the moment. But yeah, if we switch it on, you can see 7.5 seconds for 40 buckets of nitrobenzene, which is insane. That is so good. And remember, the nitrobenzene gives us so much more EU for the equivalent amount compared to regular benzene. It's 1.6 million compared to benzene's, what was it, 360,000? Yeah. Oh, this is glorious. This is amazing. Yeah, but we're going to keep it off for now just until next episode when we figure out how we're going to burn this stuff. Yeah, I think that's going to wrap up this episode. I have Breeks turned back on. Right now he's working on getting us some more flax seeds, which should give us string. We only had 2 of these crops planted before, but I found that it wasn't enough, and we used string as to craft these cubit blocks. These cubit 1 and 2s are crafted from the 0, which is crafted from black wool, and I guess we could set up a sheep farm, but I just have an assembler recipe for white wool, and then we dye it with ink sacs, which we're also farming over here somewhere. I think it's... Yeah, it's blackthorn, which gives us ink sacs. And just with the sheer amount of blocks that we now have in the base, I was finding that we're running out of string. Ink sacs not so much, we have a couple 100k here, because this goes a very long way. It makes a lot of blocks with 1 piece of dye. But the string, I did run out of quite a few times, making wool. But yeah, anyways, we made it to the end of the episode again. We completed our objective. Unfortunately, we still have a lot of backlog here from the ore drills. You guys don't want to see down here, look at this. It's like, all of it is completely full. It's kind of insane. And there's a lot of redstone here. All of this purified redstone, I think, is coming from the bees. Yeah, it's coming from our redstone bee, which is quickly filling up all these chests here. We have a problem. We have a situation to deal with, but... Anyways, that's going to be it for today. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all in the next episode of New Horizons.